Hello, my name is Joshua Mugabe. I welcome you to internal structures in insects. Internal structures in insects. We are looking at the internal structures in an insect. So let's look at the different parts of our internal structures. Here we shall go on looking from one system to another. So let's start with the digestive system. We start from here. We have the mandibles. Then the mandibles, we have the mouth here. Then from the mouth, we enter into the gullet. From the gullet, we land into the foregut. Then from the foregut, we go to the masticular gizzard, pass through the masticular gizzard, and then we enter into the midgut. From the midgut here, now here we shall enter into the hindgut. Then we shall come out. That is now the digestive system. Then here we have the salivary glands. These are salivary glands. Then up we have all this space enclosed by the exoskeleton. That one we call it the haemocoel, or the blood space. All this space that you are seeing, that space inside, all of it is called haemocoel. Then here we have the dorsal vessel. This vessel here are passing upwards. Then now when we come down, here we have the oviduct. All of this one is the oviduct. Then here with these ones we are having the ovaries. Those are the ovaries. That one going down. Then here we have the spermatheca connecting to the oviduct. And outside here we have the ovipositor. So those are the different parts of the internal parts. We say that we have the mouth here at point. Then from the mouth you enter, we have here the gut. From the gut we come to the midgut. Then from the midgut we enter into the masticular gizzard. From the masticular gizzard we go to the midgut. From the midgut we shall go to the hindgut. Then we shall go out. When it comes to the reproductive system, we have the oviduct. In the oviduct we have the ovaries. And at the beginning of the oviduct here we have the spermatheca. Up we have seen a vessel. This vessel running upwards here. That vessel is the one that we have called the dorsal vessel. Then there are some tubes which we have not talked about. These tubes which connect to the hindgut. Those are excretory tubes. They move through the haemocoel and then they connect here to the hindgut. Those ones we have called them the excretory tube. And we have said that the whole space that we are seeing inside there, where the organelles are embedded, that whole space, we call it the haemocoel, or it is the blood space. And you can see that here, these are thoracic segments. The first, the second, and the third. We call them the thoracic segments. They are near the head. And then at the back here, these ones are abdominal segments. Those ones we call them the abdominal segments. So we want to look at each part. We are looking now at the Haemocoel. The Haemocoel is what we call the blood space. The blood moves freely between the organs, carrying digested food and excretory products. So the blood is going to move through the Haemocoel. As it is moving through that space, it is moving with digested food, and then also it is carrying excretory product as it is passing through that space between the different organelles, and it is distributing digested food, and it is collecting the excretory products. Generally, there is no hemoglobin or blood cells. We don't have hemoglobin as the blood is moving inside the blood space. There are no blood cells and there is no hemoglobin. Blood also exerts hydraulic pressure on the cuticle during eccadis or wing expansion. So the blood which is moving in the Haemocoel during the process of eccadis, that is the process of shedding off the old exoskeleton, as the blood is moving in the Haemocoel, it applies pressure to the exoskeleton, and that one is going to cause the new exoskeleton to expand because of the pressure of blood which is passing through the Haemocoel. And it also applies hydraulic pressure during the wing expansion. When the wings are expanding, it is still the blood which applies pressure, which will cause the expansion of the wings and the cuticle. Oxygen is delivered via the tracheal system rather than the blood. Earlier on, we looked at the tracheal system, and the tracheal system here we have not shown it. We saw that there are holes on the sides of the exoskeleton, and those holes we called them the spiracles, and the spiracles, they join to the trachea, which trachea divides in two small thin smooth tubules which we call the tracheals, and those tracheals, they distribute oxygen to the different organs inside the body. So oxygen is delivered via the tracheal system, but it is not carried in blood. Oxygen is not carried in blood. It is transported via the tracheal system. Then we have the other part that we want to talk about is the gut. The gut is that one that we would call like the digestive system, where we are moving from the foregut, we went to the masticular gizzard. From the masticular gizzard, we went to the midgut. From the midgut to the hindgut. So the foregut, which is this one here, the foregut, this part here, for it, it stores ingested food. When the food comes in from the mouth, and it enters, it is going to be stored here in the foregut. Then from there, it will pass to the gizzard. It will move from there, then it will go to the gizzard. Now, the gizzard, this one is going to help us to grind it into smaller fragments. It is the gizzard here where the food is ground into smaller fragments. Digestion and absorption takes place in the mid-gut. Now, our mid-gut is this point here. This is the mid-gut here. In the mid-gut, that is where digestion and absorption is going to take place. It takes place in the mid-gut, absorption and the digestion of the food. We have seen here that the foregut, for it stores ingested food. And then we saw the masticular gizzard here. The masticular gizzard, its function is to crush the food into tiny fragments. And when you come to the midgut here, the midgut is going to carry out digestion and absorption of the food. Then we go to the hindgut. In the hindgut, water is going to be absorbed from the feces before they are digested. Our hindgut is this point here, and it is that point where water is going to be absorbed from the feces, and when water is absorbed from the feces, then the feces will be digested out of the body. So we have looked at the mandibles. The mandibles, for them, they break down up the food and pass it through the mouth and then take it to the gullet, which is the first part of the gut. These are our mandibles. So what they are going to do, they are going to break down the food, then they will pass it through the mouth and push it into the gullet, which is the first part of the gut. Our mandibles are outside, they are on the head, and their function is to break up the food and then pass it to the mouth. When it is passed to the mouth, it will pass through the mouth and then it will go to the gullet, which is the first part of the gut, which connects to the foregut. Then now we go to the dorsal vessel. Our dorsal vessel is this capillary here, which carries blood on the upper side here. All that tube that we are seeing on top of the thorax, abdomen, that one is what we are calling the dorsal vessel. The dorsal vessel, this one pumps blood forward and releases it into the haemocoel, so maintaining the slow circulation. So what happens here is that the blood is going to flow in that direction, and as it is flowing in that direction, it will be passed out at the front and it will be poured into the haemocoel. When it is poured into the haemocoel, it will move through the whole haemocoel, circulating blood to all the organs in the body when it is passing through the haemocoel. But it passed through the dorsal vessel. The blood enters the dorsal vessel through openings in its side. So when you look at the dorsal vessels, you will see those small black dots. Those are entry points of blood. So when blood has been distributed to all parts in the haemocoel, so when it is coming back to enter into the dorsal vessel, it will use those small points and it goes back into the dorsal vessel coming from the haemocoel. It will enter through the dorsal vessel into the dorsal vessel using those small holes. Those small holes are the openings on the dorsal vessel where blood which is coming from the haemocoel goes back into the vessel. Now we want to look at the excretory tubes. Now the excretory tubes, they are these tubes that we are seeing that connects to the hind gut. These tubes that are moving through the haemocoel and they are connecting to the hind guts. Those are the ones that we are calling the excretory tubes. They move through the haemocoel and then they connect to the hind guts. The excretory tubes, these ones, they extract nitrogenous wastes from the blood and concentrate it into a semi-solid. Those excretory tubes, they extract the wastes from the blood, because remember we have said that blood is moving into the haemocoel. So as blood is moving into the haemocoel, all the nitrogenous wastes are going to be extracted from the blood and they will be converted into a semi-solid. The semi-solid waste is passed into the hind gut to be expelled with the feces. So when we get these waste materials, they are extracted from blood through the excretory tubes. Then the excretory tubes are going to convert them into semi-solid and they will pour them into the hind gut. Now the hind gut is going to expel them with the feces and they will be removed from the body. Now we want to look at the ovaries. The ovaries are these ones here. These are ovaries. They are connected to the oviduct. Have an oviduct here and then it branches and forms the ovaries. So the ovaries are connected to the oviduct. The ovaries, these ones make up the ovary, which produces the eggs. So their functions, the ovaries are to produce the eggs, and they are the ones that form the ovary, and their function is to produce the eggs. Then the eggs will pass down the oviduct to be laid with the help of the ovipositor. So our ovaries here, they are going to produce the eggs. And when the eggs are produced, those eggs will pass down to the oviduct. And when they pass down to the oviduct is going to push them into the ovipositor. Now the ovipositor, that's where they are going to be kept. as the eggs pass the spermatheca, the sperms are added and they are fertilized. So when the eggs are coming from the ovary, they will be directed to the oviduct. And when they reach the oviduct here, we have the spermatotheca here, which is keeping the sperms. And these sperms will be added to the eggs. Then the eggs will be fertilized, and after that they will be laid into the ovipositor where they will be kept. Then we want to talk about the spermatheca. The spermatheca is this sac here. That sac is our spermatheca, and this one stores sperm from the last mating and adds them to the eggs as they are laid. So the spermatheca, its function is to store sperms. During the mating, the sperms are kept in the spermatheca. Now, when the eggs are produced in the ovary, they will be passed over to the oviduct. Now, as they are passing over the oviduct, the sperms is going to be released from the spermatheca, and then they will be added onto the eggs, which are going to be laid into the ovipositor. Hello, my friends. Thank you very much for participating in internal structures in insects. Please do like, share, and subscribe.